Hey guys, what's up? I thought I'd just share a few observations from my first few hours playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've had the game now for 24 hours, played it for about 5 hours. It's come out early here in Australia. I'm not Australian, by the way, I'm British, but I live in Australia. Yeah, it's been out here for since the 1st of April, I think. People have got it early, not entirely sure why. But I guess that's good news if you're into Final Fantasy and you're looking forward to the game. Also, big fan of Final Fantasy VII. It's probably one of my favourite RPGs ever. It's pretty much the first RPG I played all those years ago. The story, the characters, everything about it, loved it. Am I excited about a remake? No, I wasn't really excited. I kind of feel like the game for me was a great game and I have great memories of it. And it kind of feels like one of those things that I'm quite scared or reluctant to play any kind of remake in case it sort of ruins the experience or ruins my memories of the original or ruins what I remembered the original to be, how I interpreted it, why I thought it was so great. Because in this game, you'll soon realize when you start playing it that it greatly embellishes and deepens out the story. And already I'm finding that some of that, to my mind, I mean, it is good and it is interesting, um, but it kind of feels like they're meddling, and they're meddling with something which is precious to me and which I enjoyed previously. And you might find they're making it for the better. Some people might find they're making it for the worse. I'm not sure. But anyway, I wasn't really looking forward to a remake game. I wasn't looking out for this, but I saw it in the shops and I thought, the wave of nostalgia hit me, so I bought it. And so a couple of things I'd say playing through it. Firstly, the story is definitely much more drawn out, so I can kind of see now how they can fit the whole of the game up until leaving Midgar into one game, because it's just kind of taking everything that happened and just stretching it out. So it's very protracted, it's embellished, and there's new kind of cutscenes and there's new parts of the story that weren't in the original, where it's kind of taking it and adding new dimensions and new elements, which is cool and which is interesting. I'd say if you didn't play the first Final Fantasy VII, you might find it a bit difficult just to jump into this, because certain characters appear very early on, and there's an expectation or an understanding, I think, that you know who these people are, and they have some sort of resonance, and they have some sort of impact on you. So there's not much of a way of an introduction. So yeah, I mean, the big thing for me so far has been the battle system. I think is really good. It's fun. It's intuitive. It works well with the active time base, so it's a lot of fun. The only downside is it is slightly too hack and slash. So I haven't played many recent Final Fantasy games, but I have played Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Neo, and other games which are much more. You have to be more patient, more tactical, and I think more rewarding. And the fights are more rewarding. So this does feel very hack and slash to me, which is not to say it's not challenging. It's just a bit too button bashy. But I think if you buy this game, you'll know that going into it, because I think a lot of people would have played Final Fantasy 15, and I'm aware that the battle sequences and approaches are very much the same as that. The other thing, as I mentioned before, is that it does sort of change the story in certain ways and add elements and dynamics to the story. And there is one very main character who's introduced much more early on, albeit not physically, and you'll see what I mean when you get into the game. But it kind of, I don't know, it kind of, again, it feels like it's sort of ruining the original story a bit to me, because I have very strong memories of when this character first appeared in the original game, and what happened, and now he's being introduced much earlier. And I just kind of, I don't know, it just sort of frustrates me in a way, because when he was introduced in the original, that had a really big impact, because it was this very mysterious way of introducing him. Whereas now it just seems different, and I think it changes the whole dynamics of the story, because in the original, when this character was introduced, to my understanding, in my mind, it was the first time that all of these characters realised or got to know this character or figured out who he was, apart from Cloud. But even then, I had no understanding that within this game, or within the context of this game and what I'd played, that Cloud had seen him or heard from him, and I don't know, it just kind of rankled with me a bit. That's fine. I mean, the other thing is, like, I've just literally come back, finished playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and the level of detail in that in relation to non-player characters is huge. And in this game, it does feel, although yeah, the city is built out and there's lots of people hanging around, particularly after the explosion in in the reactor, it's not where you can't really do much with these people. They're just sort of sitting there. You just bump into them and push past them, and you hear them speaking a bit. So yeah, I don't. There's in terms of it being a kind of open world or a living, breathing world, I don't really get that. And that's just because Red Dead Redemption 2 did it so much better, and having just played it, that's all I can really make a comparison to. The other thing is it feels quite linear, so I haven't really got to too many bits yet where it feels like a world that you can fully explore. That might change as we go on, not sure, but at the moment it kind of feels like you're just following a set path through these landscapes, which are kind of open worldy, but you can't really go too far through either because in the context of the explosion, the roads are all blocked off, or otherwise. But so yeah, kind of mixed feelings really. If I was to say overall what I think this game will be and what I think the reviews are going to say, I think they're going to say it's good, it's got good battle system, however, it's one for the fans and it's kind of riding this wave of nostalgia. And yeah, so would I think it's gonna. I haven't obviously not full review because I haven't completed it. But yeah, not as good as Red Dead Redemption. But then is anything.